Bom dia, boa tarde, good morning, good afternoon. Today nós temos mais uma live poliglota. Today we have one more live with international live aqui here in PFC. Por falar em correr, talk about running. First in Portuguese, Laura. I'm gonna talk in Portuguese here to our audience because I'm better in Portuguese. Bom, pessoal, estamos aqui, ó, mais uma live começando nesse dia dos finados, dos mortinhos. Se você já foi ou não ao cemitério, fique à vontade para ir ou não. 11 horas da manhã, vamos fazer uma horinha de live, mais uma live internacional do Por Falar em Correr. Hoje nós vamos conversar com a Laura Green, que tem vídeos legais no Instagram e é uma grande corredora, vai participar de Nova York, mora em Boston, então várias coisinhas a gente vai descobrir da vida dela de corredora aqui. E eu tô com a Camila, que vai me ajudar principalmente na tradução, né, Camila? Tudo bom?
Good morning, Enio, Laura, everybody who is watching us. I will only speak in English today, so I don't speak in Portuguese. Okay. You give your time.
Ok, ó, a Camila não vai falar em português hoje, pessoal, então só amanhã no PFC Debate. Hoje só eu que vou fazer a parte do português. Não, ela vai traduzir depois também. Mas é isso, se você tiver alguma pergunta ou dúvida, mande para nós que a gente lê aqui para a Laura. E agora nós vamos falar em inglês. Talk in English, Camila.
Good morning, Enio. Good morning, Laura.
Introduce Laura to us.
We have here today in our show Laura Green, who is a phenomenon on Instagram with her reels. And I am a big fan, I told her that. And welcome, Laura.
Thank you so much for having me. This is very exciting. It's an honor to be here.
It's an honor to have you here.
Yes, it's a big honor because we are trying to make these lives with international guests. So we already done 2 before. Now one more. We are practicing our English and trying to bring new stuffs, new content to our YouTube channel.
Perfect.
And you will see, Laura, my English is like a Kenyan English. I can talk sometimes. My friend, I don't have the accent, the correct accent, but we'll try to make our best.
Oh, you're doing great. I can understand everything.
Okay. So let's start. Let's start with our first question. Tell us, Laura, when you start running, since when run is in your life, we understand how running is part of your life.
Sure. So I grew up in a running family. So I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters. And we all played soccer and basketball. But when my brother started running, we all started running. And we ran all throughout high school and then into college. And it was very competitive amongst us. So like who could get into like the best college and who would have the fastest running team. And it was very fun. My older sister's 3 years older and our teams are actually in the same conference. So even in college, we were racing one another on the track. So I've been running since I was 13 years old competitively. I raced until I was, 23. And then when I was done with college, I was kind of done. I ran the 800. So very fast, painful race, a terrible race. So when I was done, I was like, well, I definitely don't want to be on the track anymore. And I wasn't good enough to continue on as a professional. So I was like, well, I can try doing some road stuff. But the road running for me has always been just more fun. I'm not going for any specific time. I mean, I always try and get a little bit better, but I'm not out there trying to be an elite or even a sub-elite. I'm just out there trying to have fun. It keeps me getting out the door every morning and putting my shoes on. And it's the day-to-day training that makes me more happy and fulfilled than the competitive results at this season of my life. And it just brings so much social time to me because it's an opportunity for me to run with my friends. So, and especially now when I have little kids and they all have little kids, it's like the only time we have together. So, yeah.
Very good.
Posso falar?
Yes.
Bom, ela falou que nasceu numa família de corredores, né? Ela tem 4 irmãos, 2 irmãos e 2 irmãs, e todos correm. E aí ela começou a correr também, começou com 13 anos na escola, e correu até a faculdade, competiu nos 800 metros, e eles são super competitivos, então ela competia contra a irmã na universidade, e aí quando ela se formou, com 23 anos, ela cansou da vida de pista, de atletismo, que era muito sofrida, e aí passou a correr na rua mais por diversão mesmo. E aí ela falou que até hoje as amigas têm filhos e aí eles se encontram para correr, para conversar, é uma forma de socializar.
Ah, ok. Eu vou perguntar dos 800. Não, pergunta você, Camila, dos 800, porque 800 não é uma distância legal de fazer, é difícil, né? Pergunta por que ela fez 800 especificamente e se ela gostava disso, porque é ruim dar 2 voltas na pista.
So, Laura, why did you choose the 800? Like, it's the worst race in track and field. Why that? Why so much suffering?
I think for 800 runners, the race, you don't choose that race. The race chooses you. So, I mean, I was not fast enough to run the 4 and the 15. I probably, if I committed to the 15 earlier in my career, that probably would have been my spot. But I just never committed to either. And so I was stuck in purgatory, which is the 800 meters. Oh, it really is the hardest race. That and steeple. Woo!
Yeah. So, ela falou que os 800 não é você que escolhe, é o 800 que escolhe você, né? Meio que por exclusão. Que ela não era muito rápida para correr os 400 e também não se dedicou muito para ir para os 1.500, então ficou nos 800 mesmo. Foi o que deu para ela.
Okay. You have some question here with you, Camila, or I can take
You can go.
Oh, okay. So now you run more for fun, Laura. What's your favorite distance? What distance you like more to run or to train?
Oh, I've actually never run a 10K. That's on my list because I think that would be my sweet spot for road running. But my favorite run that I've done so far is the half. I'm a half marathoner, far more than I am a marathoner, especially on the roads. The marathon for me is just a slog. I'm just out there for too long. Like it's not what my specialty is. And then I've done a couple trail races as well. And those are very fun too, because it's a little bit less of like a methodical grind and it's much more about where you are and the people that are with you doing it. So I really love those as well.
Bom, ela falou que nunca competiu numa prova de 10K, que ela acha que ia ser bem legal pro perfil dela. E a prova favorita é a meia maratona, né? Que maratona ela acha muito longa, só de vez em quando. E também já correu algumas provas de trilha. Que aí ela fala que o mais legal não é tempo, é onde você tá, aproveitar o lugar e tal.
Okay. So you like more road running or trail running?
I like them both. I kind of get into so I used to live in San Francisco for many years and the trails there are incredible. They're right on the other side of the Golden Gate Bridge and you can access them easily. And there's just much more like elevation gain. Now in Boston, there's not as many and you have to go a little bit farther to get to them. So I don't have, and it's not as easy for me to just leave my kids for 5 hours to go for a trail run. I like kind of both. I like how in road running, you can get your training done much more efficiently. Like a long run can be 2 hours, whereas in the trails, you really kind of have to be out there for longer to get in your training. So I don't know. Each one has its own advantages for sure.
Você perguntou se ela preferia provas de trilha ou de rua, né, Enio? Ela falou que gosta dos dois, que hoje é mais difícil sair para trilha, para não deixar os filhos dela sozinhos em casa, e Boston é mais difícil de achar trilhas também. Ela morava em São Francisco e lá era mais fácil, mas ela gosta dos dois. And Laura, let me ask you something. Did you go to San Francisco for the November project, or you entered the November project when you were there?
Yeah, so the November project, I was already there, and I started it when I first got there. It was the second time living there, and the first time around, I didn't have any running friends. So when I moved back there, I was like, I'll create my own running friends. So I started November Project San Francisco, and at the time there was only two other cities. Now there's over 50 around the world. But yeah, and so I just like started posting and writing on streets in chalk and saying, come run with me at 6:30 in the morning at the Quiser Stadium. And we would do workouts there. And that's how I built my whole running community, by like chalking the streets or handing out like bracelets with information on them. Yeah.
That's nice. I would never do that. I'm too shy to do that.
I mean, it was a push for me, but it was kind of the internet was obviously around, but it was not to the point where I would just post something and people would show up. Like I was on like Facebook was big. Right. So I would like create Facebook events and hope that other people.
When was that? What year?
2013.
Right.
Yeah. So it was a struggle, but it built so slowly, like 4 people, then 5 people, then 6, so that it was really nice because you got to know the people who were showing up. And then all of a sudden there was 100 people there. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. So that was a very fun period. Yeah. And I don't know, pre-kids. So I had all the freedom in the world.
No worries.
No worries. Just running around San Francisco all weekend. Yeah.
Eu perguntei para ela se eu vi que ela faz parte do Projeto Novembro, né? Que é um projeto que tem lá nos Estados Unidos, que acho que é para atrair o pessoal para fazer atividade física e tal. E aí eu perguntei se ela foi para São Francisco para tocar esse projeto, que ela foi uma das líderes lá, mas ela falou que não, que ela já estava lá. E aí ela começou com esse projeto, ela e mais 2 pessoas, e aí ela escrevia nas ruas com giz, vai lá no estádio para correr comigo, tal dia, 5:30 da manhã. E aí começou e tal. E ela é uma das mais influentes, assim, nesse projeto Novembro aí que circula lá nos Estados Unidos.
Tá, vamos perguntar então o que é esse projeto Novembro para ela explicar com as palavras dela. Vamos. Before I ask the next question, just we have here Carminha Tristão, good morning. Terezinha Rosa, it's the Camila's mother, it's here too. Good morning. And William Araújo, good morning, and Camila and Laura. So there are some people here.
Good morning.
You can explain to us what is the November project for us to translate for Portuguese too?
Sure. So the November Project is a completely free workout group that is led by volunteer leaders. And so you can look up the chapters that are all over the world, mostly in the US and Canada, but there are some in like Australia and Europe. We have not broken into South America yet. But it's just a morning workout. It's on Wednesday mornings. And some cities have multiple days. So in San Francisco, we had Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6:30 in the morning. And you show up, we do our best to be as inclusive as possible. So we welcome new people who don't have friends there already. And we do our best to bring everybody together. And it's not just a run club. There's usually some element of strength training. So like air squats, body weight exercises. Some cities have stairs involved. In Boston, we do the Harvard Stadium. And then on Fridays, we run hills. So it's kind of a mix depending on which city you're in. What's very cool about it is that you can just show up in other cities. So if you travel for work or if you go to Chicago for the marathon, you can like go to their workout and just be like, hi, I'm from Brazil. And they will be so excited that you're there to join them. There's no signing up ahead of time. You just find the location, you look for the group of people. And and it's a great community for sure.
That's very nice. Você fala, eu falo, Enio.
No, you translate. You translate.
Okay. O Enio perguntou o que é esse projeto Novembro, né, que ela fazia parte, e é um projeto voluntário, né, que tem praticamente todas as cidades lá nos Estados Unidos, geralmente às quartas-feiras, e aí quem quiser ir vai, e aí geralmente tem corrida, mas não é só isso, tem alguns exercícios de fortalecimento também, eles fazem barra, fazem escada, e aí assim, você não precisa se inscrever, nada, você aparece lá no lugar que... E até eu entrei no site para dar uma olhada, cada cidade tem onde que é o local do projeto, e daí é só você aparecer e fazer a atividade lá do dia com eles. Parece ser interessante, eu não conhecia, não.
Também não. Bom, well, we have here to Adriana Pizes, member of our channel and integrant of our podcast too. Now the next question, let me take here. I'm with the Google Translate open here to improve my questions. So Laura now is going to run the New York City Marathon next weekend, next Sunday. So Laura, how was training for the New York City Marathon? And how is your expectation to this marathon? And ringing the phone. No problem. Tell us about New York. The training and the expectation for Sunday.
Okay, so the training was actually great, but I didn't get a bib for the marathon until the end of August. So it was a very short training period. You know how typically you train for 12 to 16 weeks, maybe even more. I had about 8 weeks to pull it together, which is not advised. I'm a physical therapist, so I don't advise that at all. But it was an opportunity to run with the New Balance and Believe in the Run team. And they were like, come join our team. It will be really fun. And I was like, you know, I may never run New York, so let me just do it. What a cool chance to do something like this. So I kept it very low mileage. Every other day I got on the bike and I didn't run too much. Like I think my highest mileage week was 42 miles. And I know you guys don't run in miles probably, but whatever that translates to. But for the most part, I was in the 30s. I ran 4 days a week and that felt really good on my body. I didn't get any injuries, which is like so lucky, especially because I'm running in some New Balance shoes, the Super Comp trainers, which I'd never run in before. So that was a risk. There was a lot of risk involved. So I'm just really lucky. My foot adapted. The shoe is great. And I got some really good training in. And this is like such a ridiculous, bold thing to say, but I think that if this were a flat course, I could PR, but it's kind of a tough course. There's some big bridges and it's pretty crowded and it's going to be hot for us. I know that's a lot of excuses, but I really don't necessarily want to go in for it. Like I'm going to PR because I also really want to enjoy it. Like if I PR, that means like my eyes are going to be like rolled into the back of my head and I'm going to be like super out of it come the last 3 miles. And I'm like, I don't really want that either. So it will be a game time decision about how fast I go, but I feel good. But I also never went above 18 miles in my long run. So those last 8 miles, I could blow up. I don't know.
And what's your PR on the marathon?
3:11 or 3:13, one of those. See, I don't care.
It's fast.
You probably know my time, but I really don't care. I think if I went like a PR for me would be anything sub 3:10. Like that would feel like a PR to me.
Right.
But, sub 3:10, you have sure it's a PR, right?
Yeah. So I guess I'm going for it. I'm very competitive. So
yeah, I was going to tell you that. You are competitive. There's
so
no way you're going to run for fun in New York.
I know. I do. Everyone says New York is like the most fun marathon because it's so crowded with fans. And so I do want to like enjoy it, but I love to compete, even if it's just with myself, you know. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Good.
Bom, o Wendy perguntou como que foi os treinos dela para a Maratona de Nova York, né? Ela falou que só ficou sabendo que ia com 8 semanas da prova. Então, foi um ciclo bem curto. E ela é uma pessoa que corre baixa quilometragem, baixa milhagem, né? Então, o pico dela foi 40 milhas. Dá o quê? Uns 60 quilômetros, mais ou menos, Anne?
64 kilometers.
E aí ela alternou com bicicleta também, mas ela tá confiante que vai correr bem e vai bater o recorde pessoal dela, que é 3:11. Ela vai usar
3:13.
O 3:13. Ela tá buscando uns 3:10 para garantir, o sub 3:10. E ela vai usar os tênis da New Balance, né, aquele Super Comp, que eu já ouvi falar bem dele, mas ela falou que é meio que surpresa, assim, ela usou algumas vezes agora e gostou, mas ela vai na surpresa para ver o que vai acontecer.
Será que ela tá indo pela New? Você pergunta aí?
Tá.
Ela tá indo.
Tá. Are you going for the New Balance, right? They invited you.
Yeah. So I'm wearing their shoes. I think
Yeah.
the new Elite one, Elite 3. Yeah. Which are
Well,
awesome. I feel like I'm gonna bounce myself to the moon in those carbon shoes.
Ali Feller loves it, right? I listen to her podcast and she's like a big fan of the Super Comp.
She wears her carbon shoes every day.
Yeah.
Every day I was like, you need to stop. It's not good for your foot or your leg in general, but
she doesn't care.
She does not care.
Yeah.
Because they make you feel kind of superhuman. Like the way that the energy returns to the shoe, it makes me wish we had those when I was like a competitive runner, because I wonder what our training would have been like, you know?
The Super Shoes does that, right?
It's legit. I've
awesome.
actually never even worn the Nike one, so I have nothing to compare it to, but yeah, I don't know. That's why the PR might be there for me.
Yeah, I know. I believe in you, Laura.
Ela tá indo pela New Balance, então, né? E tá confiante com o super tênis, foi mais ou menos isso, né?
É o primeiro super tênis que ela tá usando e tá achando incrível, assim, né? É aquela sensação que a gente tem quando usa pela primeira vez, né?
Sim.
Um tênis com placa.
Exato. Bom, let's to the next question I have here. Cadê aqui? Since you live in Boston, what tips for places to run and visit could you give us? Since we will be in Boston in April 2023.
Well, so have you booked like where you're staying? Do you know where you're staying?
I know. Let me see our Airbnb and let me see here.
Because that is important in determining where you'll.
Okay. So let me see. Talk about Boston a little about Boston.
So Boston is very small. It's not New York at all. It is super small. And the majority of what runners who come in for the marathon are going to need and want are within a half mile, like maybe a kilometer, right? So you won't even really be walking that much, which is great. So what they do is they essentially shut down 2 streets. All of the pop-ups and all of the stores you need to go to are on those 2 streets. All of the shakeout runs and the panels and all that stuff is all there. And that's where the finish line is, the famous finish line on Boylston Street. So when you get in and you want to shake out your legs a little bit, Boylston Street and then spit out to the river is just the easiest and pretty picturesque. I mean, you're running along the Charles River. Probably don't want to jump in there. It's a little bit dirty. And then just kind of doing a loop over to the Cambridge side and back. It's the trail, like the running routes are just like, you kind of like, Boston's very confusing. It's not a grid. It's not like New York. The way that Boston is set up is that when the settlers came in, and what they did is they would like have homes, like back when there were dirt roads, and then they would just make a road to that other person's home and then make a road to the other person's home. So there's no grid. The roads are like this, and you will get lost pretty quickly. So don't go too crazy in the city. Just go right out to the river and you can't get lost on the river. And the days before the marathon are really fun because you'll see the pros shaking out their legs out there. It's like very fun people watching, and the weather is always up in the air. It could be anything in April, so who knows what it will be. But yeah, it's a little picturesque little slice of the city, and I think that's all you really need to do.
Ela falou que Boston é bem pequena, né? Diferente de Nova York, de Chicago. Então, tudo se resume a 1 quilômetro ali de espaço. Então, você vai...
Assim, para quem não ouviu, eu perguntei sobre Boston, já que eu e o Marcos vamos estar lá em Boston, né? Eu perguntei algumas dicas, ela perguntou onde é que a gente vai ficar. Eu achei aqui, daí depois eu vou falar com ela, mas ela deu dicas gerais agora, né, Camila?
Ela falou que o melhor é você seguir pelo rio ali, correr em volta do rio, que não tem erro, porque a cidade é bem bagunçada, assim, as ruas não têm uma lógica, não tem uma sequência. Então, você fica ali perto, nessa área de 1 quilômetro ali, que você vai encontrar tudo, né? Vai encontrar os atletas de elite aquecendo, vai encontrar os treinos que acontecem antes da maratona, as palestras, acho que a feira também é por ali. Então, tudo se concentra nessa região ali de Boston, que é onde é a chegada, né? Em Boylston Street, lá.
Yes. Eu vou falar para ela aqui onde é que a gente está. So, I find here in Airbnb, we will be in Everett. Everett, is that way I talk?
Everett. Okay. You're up in Everett.
It's about five miles to Boston finish line.
Yeah. So unfortunately, that's more, it's like, it's not far, but you'll have to take cars, back and forth. I don't know any running up there, but
okay.
But
we have to take in Everett because near the Boston finish line, it's so expensive for us in Brazil. It's
oh my gosh, yes,
it's impossible.
Yeah. But what's good is once you get into Boston, everything's right there for you, and then you can pop back out to Everett when you need to chill out. So.
Ela falou que vocês vão ficar meio longe, né? Acho que é 5 milhas. Então vai ter que usar carro para ir para Boston e para voltar. Mas aí chegando em Boston é aquilo que ela falou. Tudo acontece ali num espaço pequeno que dá para fazer tudo a pé.
É fácil de identificar, né? Agora eu vou perguntar se ela já correu essa maratona. Did you already run in Boston Marathon?
Yeah, I've run Boston a few times.
A few times?
Yeah, it kind of feels like a hometown race, which is a ridiculous thing to say, but yeah, it's kind of, especially I went to college in Boston. So even though I left for 10 years and came back, Boston feels like home, and it's like my running city because I ran here. I've probably logged thousands of miles around the Charles River. So Boston Marathon Monday is a holiday here. And so nobody works or goes to school. So even in college, I was only running the 800, but we were out cheering for the marathoners on that day. It's a very fun.
Were you giving kisses on the Boston?
Were we what?
Giving kisses? There is the school that the girls.
Oh, kisses. No, that's not us.
No.
Yeah, I think that's in Wellesley. I think that's my
that's it. Yeah.
No, we were the kids who were drinking lots of beer. You'll go up and you'll go through Boston College, and all those kids are completely drunk. They're so drunk. That was me.
At what, 8 in the morning?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You just get started. But the race starts so late. I think it's like a 10 a.m. start. So people are coming through until like 4 p.m., 5 p.m. Yeah. So.
Ela falou, você perguntou se ela já correu Boston, né, Enio? E aí ela falou que sim, que já correu algumas vezes, que Boston é a cidade dela, que ela fez universidade lá. Então é onde ela fez a maior parte das corridas dela em Boston. Então é É uma cidade que ela se sente em casa, assim, correndo. Tipo você em Floripa, e fazer as provas de Floripa, ela faz Boston.
Okay. And since you participate in a few Boston marathons, what tips you give to about the course to our to people who is running next year, for example?
Yeah. So you'll hear these from most runners. It's always the same, but it's because it's very true. The first half is down and it's pretty steep. So your quads get chewed up. It's just what happens. So in your training, as much as you can, try and do some hard pounding down hills. It's something that I think a lot of people, they're always worried about the hills. But the problem is when your quads are so chewed up, then you enter the hills in Newton and you have nothing left. But if your quads are in a good position, then the hills won't feel like much at all. They're not that big. It's just that it's where they are in the race. That is what is like so killer for everyone. So as much as you can in your training, you know, when you're doing your hill repeats, sprint the down as well to get your quads used to the pounding, because you feel so good that first 10K. You're like, what? I'm gonna PR today. And then it starts creeping up. And by mile 15, you're like, I think I'm done. I think I have to walk. So be careful. But it's a fun course. Every town is a little different. It's not like you're running through the city like in New York. You're running through like neighborhoods until the last 5K you're in the city, but everything else is neighborhoods. But people come out for it. And if it's a warm day, people will have their hoses on for you to run through. And it's a big community gathering. So it's nice.
Good.
Bom, você pediu dicas, né, Ine, do trajeto da prova, e aí ela falou que o que mata mesmo são as descidas, né, porque Boston é conhecida pelas subidas, mas as 10 primeiras milhas são em descida inclinada, e se você não tiver o quadríceps forte, quando começar a subir, não vai ter mais nada. Ela falou que as subidas nem são tão difíceis assim, né, elas não são tão longas, mas é porque como o quadríceps já está muito judiado ali, a perna já está muito judiada, quando você chega na parte das subidas, não tem mais nada para gastar ali. Então, ela deu dicas de treinar muito descida, né? Tanto subida quanto descida.
É que o problema da subida é onde ela está, né? No quilômetro 33. Se ela tivesse antes, estava mais fácil. Ó, agora eu vou perguntar dos vídeos que ela faz, como é que surgiu a ideia, pessoal. Então, vamos lá. Laura, when did the idea of making videos on Instagram come up? They are very creative and funny, and every day we have a new video there. And I like them because you put the subtitles. So something I can understand the listen, I can understand the reading. So it's very, very nice, very good. The videos. Camila is a huge fan of these videos. I know you because of Camila.
Oh, good. The subtitles are important, not just for international people, but for people who can't hear. And I'm like able to hear, but I watch all my videos on my phone without sound. So if someone doesn't have subtitles, I just swipe past it. So those are very important. But thank you. Last year, so I said I'm a physical therapist, and last year I was getting kind of like burnt out from the pandemic. I work at a hospital and was feeling pretty exhausted by it. And I felt like doing something more creative. And so I started a video production company, and I started doing legacy videos. And legacy videos are when I interview someone all about their life. So people often hire me to interview their parents. And so that for generations to come, their story is captured. And so I really liked doing that. I still am doing that. But one day my friend Sasha was like, you should just get in front of the camera and do comedy. And I was like, no, I don't. I like being behind the camera. And she's like, just do it, just make 2. And so I made 2 and they did really well. And I was like, well, I have a lot of ideas, especially when it comes to running. So I hope one day to kind of like expand out of running, or not out of it, but just kind of make my bubble bigger. But right now there's so much to talk about with running. So as long as that content keeps coming to my brain, I'll keep making them, because it is really fun, and it's fun talking to friends about my ideas and them helping me make them funnier. So it's been a crazy 3 months. It's like, I just started in August or September. So it's just been like wildfire, really.
Yeah, and they are really good. Do you remember which one was the first who went viral?
The first one was when the road runner tries to be a trail runner, and then the stroller video. And the stroller video is really what kind of took everything to the next level, which was so funny because I didn't see that coming at all. But people love that stroller video.
I love that marathon watcher video. Like, are you going to stay here for hours? Yeah, hours. Like, I can relate myself totally with that. It's so funny because my husband doesn't understand. Like, are you going to watch this? What can happen? I mean, a lot of things can happen. Like, the girl can fall, or they can do a sprint. So it's excited, but he doesn't get it. So it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, I know. My husband's a football fan, so like we just kind of part ways. I'm like, go watch Patriots. I do not care. Like, but watch this, watch the Olympics are on, and the 50, like I'll wake up at 2 a.m. to watch, the 50.
we do that too.
And here in our channel, we make the live streaming to watching the marathon and commenting. So we are in next level. So we're watching, but we are doing the live at the same time to comment.
It's like a big party, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Bom, você perguntou como que ela começou nos vídeos, né, Enio? E aí ela falou que durante a pandemia ela meio que se estressou com a profissão de fisioterapeuta, que ela trabalhava em hospital, e aí ela resolveu criar uma companhia de produção de vídeos. Aí ela começou fazendo vídeos de legado, né, que ela disse ali, que geralmente os filhos contratavam ela para fazer uma entrevista com os pais, para os pais contarem a história de vida deles e tal, talvez para deixar depois para as futuras gerações, né? E aí teve uma amiga dela que falou, não, você tem que ir para frente da câmera, você não pode ficar só atrás da câmera. Aí ela deu uma, não quis fazer no começo, aí ela fez 2 vídeos. E aí os vídeos deram muito certo, e aí ela começou com essa de fazer os reels, e acho que nos últimos 3 meses é que o negócio saiu do controle, assim, ela começou a ter muita visualização, e aí tá seguindo nessa carreira aí de vídeo de reels.
Isso, ela falou que o mais famoso foi o do carrinho de bebê, foi, né?
Foi,
Tá aqui eu tô vendo aqui agora. 1.4 million views.
The stroller.
The stroller. You did the videos thinking about they can go viral, or you just do because you think it's a good idea, could be funny? You worry about the result of the video later?
Yeah, I do look at the numbers. I used to be better about being like, whatever, who cares? But I do want to do more of this content for brands. And so the numbers do matter, unfortunately. Sometimes I'll put one up and I'll be like, this is going to do really well. And then it just doesn't really go anywhere, which is fine. Luckily, like, I'm not making money off of the views. So like, if it bombs, I don't care. But I do look at the numbers because then I can sell it to a brand and be like, I'll do this. I'll do more of this for you. Like, look how well it did on my page type deal. But overall, it really doesn't stress me out. I'm competitive. So I like to compete with myself. Like, oh, maybe I can get this over this amount. But other than that, it's just like fun. And I feel really lucky to laugh about it and not let it stress me out, because I feel for those influencers and content creators whose entire income relies on the amount of engagement there is, because that's really stressful. You're relying on the algorithm, which we really don't have any control over. So yeah, like that stroller video just kind of, it was like this for like 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden the wave took it, and then it became 1.4 million. For no reason. I don't know. I don't know. So it just shows you we don't have any power.
Yeah. Like the brands are contacting you right now, right? I read about Brooks, right?
Yeah. So I'm making videos for Brooks, but I have a great contract with them, and they're like, go ahead, work with other brands as well. I'm like, sure. So I'm talking to a number of different ones right now, and hopefully like next year you'll just see me everywhere. But yeah, it's really fun. It's really fun.
Yeah, that's nice. And the brand's reel was so nice too, like with Nike, and Nike was the best.
I don't think Nike's ever going to want to work with me. So. There's definitely ones that I go harder on, and I'm like, I'm burning that bridge right now. But
yeah.
Sometimes you have to burn a bridge.
You have Brooks. It's fine.
Fine. Yeah.
Good. Translate.
Como que começou essa pergunta mesmo?
What question? I don't remember.
What did Daniel ask you about this? What were you talking about?
About the worry about the numbers.
The numbers. Yeah.
Bom, o Enio perguntou se ela se preocupava com o número de visualizações dos vídeos, né, que ela faz, se ela fazia o vídeo pensando nisso já. E ela falou que não, né, que até por causa do algoritmo do Instagram, você não tem muito controle sobre isso, que ela faz porque ela acha que é bom, que o conteúdo é bom, e aí... mas assim, é claro que tem valor o número de visualizações quando ela vai fechar o contrato com alguma marca. Ela fechou agora com a Brooks, né, que é uma marca de corrida, de tênis, de acessórios, e daí ela coloca para ela, falou, esse vídeo tem 1.400.000 visualizações, então eu posso fazer isso e muito mais, mas não é o foco principal dela, não é o número de views, né, ela tenta fornecer conteúdo, né, fazer vídeos com conteúdo interessante.
Ok, vamos para a próxima pergunta. Next question here. Eu vou perguntar para ela, pessoal, como é que surgem essas ideias, se ela tenta postar todo dia, se tem algum padrão nessas coisas que ela faz. Laura, how do ideas come about? Do you try to post video every day? You have como é que é comprometimento, Camila?
You have a schedule, like...
A schedule to post every day, or it's just, I have an idea and I go post?
Yes, that's it. There is no schedule. There is...
It's random.
It's random. And most of the time I think of these ideas while I'm running, and then I try and write them down, and then I script them out. And some days they're really short. Like the one that I put up about tapering, I thought about that on a run. I came home, I wrote it, I shot it, and I put it up in like an hour. Whereas the other ones with multiple characters, like the podcast hosts, that took me like a month to pull like the costumes together and like really get the script down. So that takes a little bit longer. But I don't have any type of content schedule. I have a feeling some weeks I put out 3, some I put out 1. I think on average, I probably put 2 a week. And then I try not to go on much on the weekends. I do my best to keep my phone to the side. So like I'm very much trying to treat this as a 9-to-5 job, which is really hard to do because we're always on our phones. But if I don't do that, I think I'll get burnt out really fast. I know how my brain works. So I'm doing my best to just kind of pace myself. And I know that they say to post every day. Like it's actually impossible for me to try and do that. And I don't think I need to. Like I'm not trying to get 1 million followers. I'm trying to get a great pocket of quality followers who are just like want to laugh right? And just like are here for a good time. I'm not looking to be like the next crazy Instagram star. I just want to have like a good little community on the internet. So I feel like if I build it organically, kind of like how I built November Project, then it will serve me well in the long run. And I think it's working so far. You know,
you are doing great.
Yeah, and the people who comment and like, I don't know, I haven't had much backlash or negative. Like sometimes when the videos go up on the Brooks channel, I don't really look at the comments, but occasionally I do, and there's always a few that are like, "This is really stupid," or "This is not funny," and I just laugh it off, and I'm like, "Okay, I'm sure a lot of people who don't find it funny. That's fine."
Yeah.
So you just kind of have to go with it.
Yeah, but a lot of people do find funny.
Right.
Like,
And you have to focus
I think
on
most
that.
of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bom, você perguntou se ela tem uma sequência, uma programação de colocar os vídeos, né, todo dia. Ela falou que não, que as ideias vão surgindo. Aí ela só tenta, tipo, fazer disso um trabalho durante a semana, né? Ela evita ficar no telefone aos fins de semana para ficar com a família, com os filhos. E aí, assim, tem vídeo que ela cria em 1 hora, ela chega, teve a ideia, vai lá e grava. E aí tem vídeos que dão mais trabalho, né? Quando ela faz vários personagens, por exemplo. Esse das marcas, tem o que ela fez com os podcasters americanos também, que é muito bom. Aí demora mais tempo para trocar de roupa, para fazer várias gravações e tal. Mas ela não tem uma sequência fixa, assim, de publicações, não. Ela tenta colocar 3 por semana, mas não é nada rígido. E teve mais alguma coisa?
É isso. Não, é basicamente isso. É isso aí. Bom, a Tereza Veronese chegou aqui também. Bom dia, pessoal. Vamos lá. Vou perguntar agora como é que ela faz. Ela já falou um pouco ali dos vídeos, mas eu quero tentar entender essa parte de como é que ela faz para gravar, se ela faz sozinha, os textos, filme, editar. Então, vamos lá. Next question, Laura. How do you record videos? Do you do everything yourself? The test, shoot and edit? Do you think of everything? You are the people who do everything?
Yes,
or you have some help?
I'm like an entire creative agency.
You are your company.
I am. I definitely get help. I come up with most of the ideas, but I do get help with the scripts because I have a lot of runner friends. And so I can't lie and say this is all me because my friends do help me. I usually come up with like the structure of it, and then they'll say, what about this? What about that? And so that's been just like a fun addition, and it makes me feel like I'm not working by myself. Because that gets really boring. But yeah, everything else is me. I shoot on a Sony camera. I have tripods and microphones. And that's why some of the shots are like really blown out and like too exposed. But I can't tell when I'm acting and also shooting. And then I get back to my computer and I'm like, do I really want to reshoot this? And most of the time I just don't. So it's a one-man show over here. But it's okay for now. I would love to have more of a team to play around with, but I think that's years down the road for sure.
Your kids are growing up.
They can help.
Bom, ela falou que é só ela mesmo, né? Ela é uma equipe, que ela faz tudo, ela grava, ela produz, ela atua. E aí ela falou que ela tem ajuda de alguns amigos, né? Com dicas e tudo mais. Mas geralmente, quando ela está editando ali o vídeo, ela vê que ficou uma imagem mal feita, meio com uma luz ruim. Mas na maioria das vezes ela não faz de novo, não. Deixa do jeito que tá, porque é muito trabalhoso.
Ok, eu vou perguntar agora do outro vídeo dela que fez sucesso, que não foi um vídeo de humor, né? Que, aliás, acho que é o mais visto até aqui.
Sim.
Putz, essa aqui eu não coloquei no Google. Essa vai ser...
Quer que eu pergunte?
Oh, you can ask, my friend, you can ask.
Okay. Well, we were talking about the women in running, that video that went viral, that it's not funny, but it was very important because it was about the time that Lisa Fletcher was killed, so it got really attention. So tell us about it.
Yeah, so I shot that in March or April, and originally posted it kind of before Reels really took off. as a video, and it did really well. At the beginning, when I was making running content, it wasn't comedy yet. It was much more like lived experience, storytelling of my friends. And that one was just, I had kind of like clips of all of them running, and I just put my voice over on it. And while, like, I'm a big woman, like I'm 5'10" and I'm strong. And so even as like this like broad, and I'm white, which also has a huge advantage in the United States and in terms of safety, and still these thoughts come through my head. I can't imagine someone of different stature, of different strength, and of different race and ethnicity. They face even more like dangers just leaving their home, but let alone going for a run in the dark. And so it was doing my best to just kind of like put a voice to those things. And it was basically made not for women, because we already know it. It was made for the men, and especially like in the United States, the white men who don't really think about these things when they're running down the road. I showed it to my husband, and he was like, what? You know, couldn't relate to any of it. He doesn't think about any of that when he goes for a run, even if it's at 5 a.m. and it's pitch black. So yeah, I reposted it when Eliza Fletcher passed because I wanted to get more attention for it, but I also felt a little strange about that too, because I wasn't trying to get more views based on this tragedy. So it's kind of one of those balancing acts of like, this is a good time for people to really pay attention to this, because men especially have to be, I think there's a space, a conversation there for men to be better allies to women when we're out on the run, and to have some sensitivity and awareness about what might be going through that woman's head as you like brush her shoulder as you pass her. Like, you could have went way around me, but you went right up next to me. Things like that. So I think it served its purpose, but it did feel a little conflicting at the time, for sure.
Yeah, and like I think women all over the world can relate to that. So here in Brazil, it's the same, and I am sure in Africa or Oceania or I don't know. And it was. I think you got the message right. Like everybody listened to it, everybody watched it, and it was very shared all over the world. So it was worth it. Yeah. We women thank you for that, because I think every woman think about it while we were running at dark, like before the sun comes up, or at night, and it's scary. So
yeah. I mean, and it's always been there, but it's when incidences happen that make you like, it goes back to the front of your brain.
Yeah.
So since then, I haven't worn my headphones until the sun rises. I keep my headphones off, which is a shame because I would love to listen to music, but I want to hear everything around me. And it's just the reality of trying to stay as safe as possible.
Yeah, and I like it that you said that it's not for women, because we know it's for men, because they have no idea what happens, so they don't care. And like if they watch the video, they will think about it, some acts like they do.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Bom, a gente perguntou, ela fez um vídeo sobre o que se passa na cabeça de uma mulher quando ela está correndo, né? Então, ela escuta barulhos, dela fala, meu Deus, será que tem alguém me perseguindo? Ela escuta um carro se aproximando, o carro diminuindo a velocidade. Ela fala, será que ele vai parar? Será que vai descer? Será que vai me atacar? Então, foi um vídeo muito visto. Ela fez esse vídeo, acho que em março ou abril, e aí agora, eu acho que foi em agosto que teve uma morte de uma corredora que foi sequestrada por um cara ali enquanto ela estava correndo de madrugada, e o cara levou ela para algum lugar e matou, que teve muita repercussão lá nos Estados Unidos, e ela resolveu repostar o vídeo porque tinha sentido, né? E aí o vídeo foi muito visualizado, assim, teve muita gente que compartilhou, e ela falou que assim...
2 millions.
No, is it?
E ela falou que ela postou principalmente para os homens, né? Porque as mulheres sabem o que se passa, mas muitas vezes os homens que passam correndo, que passam de carro, eles não têm noção do medo que eles podem causar com algumas ações que eles fazem, né? Então ela falou que quis colocar isso para eles ficarem atentos, né? Evitar algumas situações que podem ser evitadas.
Certo. Você tem mais alguma pergunta aí, Camila?
Eu acho que não, Enio.
Não? Pessoal do YouTube, se vocês tiverem alguma pergunta,
eu tenho uma, sim.
mandem aí.
I have. I was
You can
listening
ask.
to a podcast with the Drop. I think and you said you had a podcast. Do you still have it? What was it about? About a physical therapist or running?
No, so I was a leader of November Project San Francisco, but then I worked with the two co-founders to kind of oversee all the volunteer leaders for years. And one of the creative side jobs I did was called Wisconsin Notes, which is a reference to the very early November Project days. We used to blog remember when blogging was...
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So we wrote a blog after every workout. So we wrote hundreds of blogs. And at the very end, it would say Wisconsin Notes, which was basically like too long, didn't read. Here are the bullet points. So that was what the name of the podcast was. And it was like just storytelling. So I would interview different leaders or members, friends, and I think I got to like 60 episodes, but they were so inconsistent, you know.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. And it was just like a third job. So like it definitely was the last priority. But I had so much fun doing it. It's a lot to also like book the guests and like schedule the guests, and like it just was. And what's sad though is that like I had to take it down. I wasn't going to keep paying for it to continue streaming, and so it doesn't exist out there anymore. And I don't even think I saved half the episodes on my hard drive. So it's like
I was going to ask if it's still on, so I can listen to. Whatever. It was a phase.
I learned so much by doing it. I learned about the just the skill of the interview, and I think I got better as time went on, as everyone does, and just kind of also like the technology behind it, and like how to so like things like that. It was a good learning experience for me.
That's nice. Eu perguntei se eu ouvi um podcast com ela, ela falou que teve um podcast já. E aí eu perguntei sobre o podcast, o que era, né? E ela falou que bem no começo do projeto Novembro lá, eles tinham um outro projeto que era o Wisconsin Notes. E aí ela fez, todas as atividades que eles faziam, ela escrevia no blog, relatava isso. E aí ela passou isso para o podcast, e eram todos longos e tal, mas daí ela resumia e fazia um podcast. Só que era tipo o terceiro trabalho dela, então era o último da lista, e aí agora não tem mais, e ela teve que tirar lá da plataforma, né, para não ficar pagando, e ela acha que ela nem salvou. Então, já era.
Ok. Então, o trabalho dela hoje é essa coisa de filmagem, pelo que eu entendi, né?
A criação de conteúdo, né? Criação de conteúdo, e aí acho que ela fecha o acordo com algumas marcas e...
ok.
E aí vem disso.
Aliás, Laura, if New Balance asks about runners in Brazil to participate in the New York City Marathon, remember to indicate us.
We are so available.
I got you. I'll add you to their team for next year.
We are. You call us, we go.
Yeah, I know. How can you turn it down, right?
No, there's no way.
There's no way. Yeah.
So I think that is we made all the questions we have here. Camila, you have some more questions?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
Let's Laura taper. Let's rest.
I gotta go take a nap.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this live because I realized my English is not so bad. I'm better listening than talking, but I think we are doing this great, Camila. It was good.
We are.
It was good.
Your English is excellent. Don't let.
I'm trying.
Zero Portuguese, so you're already crushing me.
About this, if you come to Brazil, if you come to the south of Brazil, you can tell us we are here to train with you and guide you to the touristic place. But if you go to Rio, it's more complicated to us.
Yeah. Not as close, but I will let you know, of course, when I make it down there finally.
Isso. Só traduz essa parte ali, Camila, para daí a gente...
Não, o Enio falou que se ela vier para o Brasil e vier para Santa Catarina, a gente vai estar super feliz em recebê-la e levar para correr e tudo mais, mas a ideia principal dela é ir para o Rio, né, que todo mundo que vem para o Brasil vai para o Rio, aí o Enio falou que daí já fica mais complicado para a gente.
Isso. E eu falei também, né, que se a New Balance perguntar alguma coisa para ela daqui do Brasil, para que nós estamos aí à disposição.
A gente tá na lista aí.
Isso, exatamente.
Se quiser convidar para ir para Nova York, a gente vai amanhã.
Isso. Então, pessoal, vocês aí brasileiros da live, a live vai ficando por aqui, a gente vai fazer o encerramento em inglês e daí nós vamos embora para liberar a Laura, porque a Laura tá, né, tem a família toda aí tá quase na hora do almoço lá também, tem a maratona chegando, Boston para Nova York não é tão perto assim, tem que viajar e tal. Então, muito obrigado a vocês que acompanharam a live, deixem seu like, seu dislike, se torne membro do canal, enfim, faça a sua parte aí participando, que amanhã a gente volta com o PFC Debate. Here, a message from Camila's mothers. It was great. Thank you so much, Laura. You are amazing. Congrats, PFC Camila and Daniel.
Oh, thank you.
So Laura, we were, Camila.
We are very grateful to have you here. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
It was a good live. We like a lot to do this live with you. So let your last message, final message to our listeners and watchers. To later we will translate. But it was very nice to have you here. Thank you, very thank you to participate in our live.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This was such a blast. I don't think I have anything else to say.
It's good. I think we talk a lot.
Yeah. And we wish you a very good New York Marathon and go for that PR.
Yeah, I know.
We trust you.
We will follow in the app.
You're just gonna see if you're tracking, you're gonna see my little running man just kind of like lay down at mile 22 or something.
We will follow here in app. We are doing our live watching and commenting the New York City Marathon.
Yes.
And we're sure we are with you in our
We're tracking you.
Yeah. Make sure you track me because it's gonna be like woo. It's gonna be a bit of whiplash. It will be fun.
So Laura, let me just say goodbye for YouTube. So I will end the broadcast. So,
all right. Well, so we all say goodbye at the same time?
Just wait. I will say in Portuguese, so we say goodbye together. Eu acho que eu entendi isso, né, Camila? A gente fala.
Sim, ela perguntou se era para falar tchau, mas aí você fala em primeiro em português, depois a gente fala.
Então tá aí, ó. A Duda também tá aqui, falou para have a great race in New York, Laura, aqui. And Adriana, great live PFC em Camila. Thank you everybody. Muito obrigado vocês que participaram aqui. Nós vamos ficando por aqui, vamos finalizar a live, dizer tchau. Nós falamos ali que a gente vai acompanhar ela em Nova York, desejamos uma boa prova. E ela falou que não tinha mais nada para falar, porque a gente já falou bastante, né, pessoal? Então, essa foi mais uma live international live que a gente fez aqui no PFC. Nós voltamos amanhã. Now we can say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, people.